I'm Little John.
And I'm John.
And together we're Papa and Son Garage.
We found a good pump. We had one on one of the other engines we have, and we're going to go ahead and roll with it. Just wanted to show a quick rundown on what we're going to do. We've already got it disassembled. We've cleaned it all up, made sure our pressure relief valve is cleaned up and everything like that. We got pressure relief valve here, along with the spring, and then you have a little washer that comes along inside your piston of your pressure relief valve. So make sure when you disassemble a pump you keep everything in order or note of where it came from. So first things first, I'm just going to go ahead and start assembling the pump rotors. You want to make sure you lube it up good while assembling. Also make note that on the gears, they both have a dot facing up, so you want to make sure you always pay attention to that, of which direction the gears should be installed. Again, recommendation is to just replace it on an overhaul, but we're cheap folk, so we're using what we've got. We're being tightwads. After you lube up, I always make sure I squirt some inside and then lube up the outside of the gears here before you install your backing plate. Okay, the backing plate does have a specific torque to it. Make sure you look it up and don't follow my lead. Backing plate's probably in inch pounds. I think that's some sort of inch pounds there. We'll go with it. So make sure your pump turns nice and good. With this sticky assembly lube we have, it's going to be a little stiff. So now lube up the pressure relief valve piston. Throw it in. Don't use a magnetized screwdriver like I just did to install that washer. Much easier with something not magnetized. Also make note, the plug for the pressure relief valve has a washer on it. Make sure you reassemble it with that. It's going to be a little stiff to push down. And there's a torque spec for that too. Around here I just make my own crap up. Alright, let's pump. Alright guys, what we found is we're kind of opening up into a can of worms. We found the oil pump or oil pan on this late model engine is totally different than the oil pan on the early model engine. Yeah, and this is the first time I've done the late model bottom end into an early model swap. So usually I've only done, you know, a few year difference on short blocks, but what I came across was the right deal for the right price, and that's where I'm finding out why it was the right price. So we've got to find a different oil pan and a different pickup tube. The pickup tube actually fixed the block that we have. However, the late model block, there's something different about it. I don't see any threads in the block for the pickup tube, so I've got to do a little research and look into that, and look into a couple other things on this engine to make sure that we're doing it right, and that way I'm getting the right information out there on this swap as well for people in the future. So we'll keep you in mind and update you as we get it and go from there. Okay, we also left off with an oil pan issue, so we're going to address that oil pan issue. What we'll be doing is modifying the oil pan and modifying the block to fit what we've got. So we are going to remove some stuff and then take the holy crap out of some things as well, for protections. Okay, so right here, pickup tube mounts up. So what I found out with this block is the block came out of a brain fart here, a CVS transmission, and so they change up the oil pan design. The pickup tube's integrated into the oil pan, and the mounts are different engine mounts, so they don't use the side engine mounts like all the other Subarus. So I have to tap threads into for my pickup tube. I've got to tap a bolt hole, or a, if I remember correctly, let me double check this here. Where's the pan? I need to drill a hole and tap threads into this front mount boss here, and then I need to modify the pan to fit the block as well. Okay, so here's where I'm going to be drilling a new hole in the pan, and then right here I'm going to be brazing the pan as well. I'll be filling in that hole. So I'm just cutting around the holes I got to drill and tap. Okay, so what I need to do is make it a 6x10 thread. Where's my tap sockets?
I don't know. Not back in this drawer. I want to sit on here.
So I'm just making sure my tap is nice and clean. Okay, just hitting it with the wire brush. The important part is making sure you lubricate the tap. I have some old school military oil that works really well. Just lube up your tap real good. That tap in as straight as you possibly can. Go in 4 or 5 threads, back it off a little bit. You'll feel a little catch backing it off. You're cutting the top and the bottom side of the threads by doing that. This particular boss, I'll fill it when it bottoms out. So right there, it just bottomed out. Okay, just blowing off my tap with air. Make sure we're good to go there for the next hole. And make sure you clean off the tap, make sure you lube for both. Suggest if you've never ran a tap before, do it with the T handle that it comes with. Do not use motor oil to lubricate the tap. Motor oil is too thick and doesn't help you cut very good and clean threads. Transmission fluid, I've seen people use that. I never have. I probably never will. I'm going to use a good quality cutting oil. I have had to use a good spray lube before. But if I have ever had to use a spray lube, I sprayed it a few times while doing it. Okay, next is self good quality center punch. Make sure you center up on your hull as good as possible. I give it a very light tap to see if I feel like I'm centered enough. Then give it a decent. Again, 3/16 drill bit, 4/6 by 1/0. If this was steel, I would do it in 2 steps with the bit, but this is aluminum, and I don't need to worry about that. It's soft enough. Actually probably taped that up too. Getting ahead of myself, should have taped up this area as well. The one thing I want to do, for this, grab me that straight pick. Straight one? Yeah. So I want to measure the depth with another. There's a Sharpie. I'll use that. I'm just checking with another bolt hole, making sure I'm going the same depth. Yep. I also kind of screwed up. You should be wearing safety glasses. Drilling this out. Now we're going to go ahead and tap that one. width, I believe. That's that bolt? Yes. That's the first one. That's this one. Go ahead and put that tape away. Put the heads on today. Those pants that you did. Yeah. You even have a brazier on? Yes. Just gotta find it. That's in the corner over there, I think.
Yeah, that, the gas to oxygen ratio that I was talking about on the torch,
Yeah.
that was for brazing, not for the, torching and cutting.
To turn it down?
For brazing is what I was talking about when I was telling
Yeah.
you what, yeah, that was for brazing, that was for cutting.
What's the ratio?
I actually took a picture of it, I think.
Good to know. Is that shit I don't know. See that? Okay, confident with the holes now? Go ahead and
I thought it sent it from here on the front of this one.
so here's just spotted a little aluminum that gathered up in a hole we want to get cleared out. So it looks like my trick with my tape worked. Give me that.
That's gorilla tape for you.
Okay, so we got some down in here I'm trying to be real cautious with getting out. Vacuum might be best.
Yeah, actually.
Power. So I noticed this bolt that I drilled, just tapped and, or drilled and tapped, goes down into one of the crankcase bolts right here. So what I'm going to do is make sure I seal the threads on that bolt when I put it back in. Put it back together, I guess. stupid old 10 millimeter. Always looking for the 10.
Oh, we've already lost one.
Tractor down.
The second one. Yeah, we found it after. Right after he bought it.
Again, there's a torque to this too. That feels like about the right torque. Okay, making progress. So the block's ready. Now we're gonna work on the pound. Bag.
If you like what you see, hit like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications to get notified on upcoming videos.